Mikel Brown Jr. just had one of the best individual performances in Louisville program history. Let's break it down. You're locked on Louisville.
You are Locked on Louisville, your daily podcast on the Louisville Cardinals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Card Nation, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into this Tuesday edition of the Locked on Louisville podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. This is my 6th year covering U of L, 4th year hosting this show. Thank you so much for making Locked on Louisville your first listen of the day and for making Locked on the #1 sports podcast network in the world. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. We put that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work defines you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. The Louisville Cardinals completely dismantled the NC State Wolfpack on Monday, 118-77 at the KFC Yum Center. We're going to break down the complete offensive clinic that Pat Kelsey's team put on. We will explain what this win means for the resume, what it means for the rest of the regular season, momentum, all that good stuff. We're going to begin today's show by highlighting one of the best individual performances in program history. Mikel Brown Jr. on a Monday night just casually had one of the most legendary performances that I've ever seen from a Louisville Cardinal in my lifetime. It's arguably the best performance from a player in a Cardinal uniform. He tied the single game record for points scored in program history, 45 points. Wes Unseld once stood alone with that record. Mikel tied that number at 45. He also tied Rain Smith's 10 three-pointers made record from last season. In this game, 34 minutes, 14 of 23 from the field, 10 of 16 from three, 7 of 7 from the free throw line, 45 points overall, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. Mikel put up video game numbers. That's how good this performance was. And it makes it even better considering some of the consistency issues that he's been dealing with shooting the basketball, right? His talent hasn't really been represented by the shooting splits from this season. And not to mention missing over a month doesn't help things when you're trying to find your footing and become more efficient from the field. But this was a game where he saw a couple shots go in. And, I mean, the first half, he was just making tough shot after tough shot like we know Mikel can make, right? And I think that that's one of the more frustrating things about Mikel's slump through this year. It's not almost the slump itself. It's more so that you know what Mikel can do. He's one of those players that is in a different echelon of talent, a guy that can completely win you a game by himself. Now, he didn't win it just by himself, but he scored 45 points. And, I mean, fireworks from the beginning to the end. Played really good defense, crashed the boards, and, hey, like I said, he controls and demands that gravity from opposing teams. And NC State tried everything they could. They couldn't stop him. He was a man on a mission. Possibly could have gotten to 50 if he stayed in for the entire game at the end, but Pat Kelsey pulled him out with about 2 minutes remaining. And look, I did mention coming into this game that he needed to play better. He needed to shoot the ball better. Now, I did give him his props saying that even when his shot wasn't falling, he was facilitating the basketball efficiently and effectively. But Louisville needed their star point guard and their star shooting guard to get out of their slumps respectively and lead this team to new heights. And it seemed like Mikel and Ryan Conwell took that to heart. Now, I predicted a Louisville victory. The only issue is that I was about 39 points off when it comes to the margin of victory. I thought that this was going to be a very close game. I was very wrong, and I'm so glad. This was an awesome game to watch, but just a special performance. And you could tell with the vibes in the Yum Center, everyone knew what was happening. Everyone witnessed the greatness and they appreciated it in the moment. But here's the thing. So many people were writing him off after his struggles. Now, he hasn't been terrible since he's come back from injury, but he's been inconsistent. 7 points against Duke, 6 against Notre Dame, 12 against Wake Forest, but he did have 20 against SMU and 20 against Virginia Tech. It's just a matter of being more consistent, finding your shot, and he was taking shots in the flow of the offense, and it was awesome to watch. But so many people were super loud with that criticism. I can't tell you how many tweets I saw of, oh, Mikel's just not the guy. Mikel should stay for a second year at Louisville. I just had to laugh at that, honestly. When I saw it, I was like, okay, now we're just being silly. Like the criticism was justified, right? I thought that he did need to be more efficient, and he still does. Like, this is just one performance, albeit it is a legendary performance, but it is one performance, and you have to build upon that. Because if you answer this performance up with like a 7 to 8 point game against Baylor, then we're kind of back to the reason as to why the criticism has been allowed. But I didn't forget. We didn't forget. People have been talking bad about Mikel for the past month, even back to like before injury, past couple months. I mean, talk about, oh, well, Mikel just isn't as good as advertised. He is overrated. He is basically only at the top of the NBA draft boards because he's 6'5" and can hit some deep 3-pointers. It's crazy seeing what people have said. When in reality, you have to understand that development sometimes is not like straightforward. And sometimes it takes a while for players to get going. But you were reminded on Monday, Mikel Brown Jr. still is a generational talent. And you're hoping that he can use this to sort of serve as the building block moving forward. But he wasn't the only one that showed out on Monday night. Ryan Conwell had what I believe was one of the most quiet 31-point performances I think I've ever seen. Because it got overshadowed by Mikel's performance, but Ryan Conwell, 31 points, 10 of 14 from the field, 5 of 6 from 3, 6 of 7 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. This duo, the performance from this duo was the best performance that I've seen from a duo in Louisville history, and it's not close. There's a tweet from OptaStats saying, Mikel Brown Jr. and Ryan Conwell of Louisville men's basketball are the only Division I teammate duo in the last 30 seasons to combine for 75-plus points, 15-plus rebounds, and 15-plus threes made in a game. Only one NBA duo has ever done it, Damian Lillard and Nasir Little during Lillard's 71-point game. There you go. Not to mention, NC State scored 1 more point than that duo. They combined for 76 points. That is 1 less than what NC State scores. Ladies and gentlemen, this is history. This is history that you're witnessing. What you saw on Monday night is not something easily duplicated. In fact, it hasn't been done in the last 30 seasons. Since the turn of the 21st century, this has not been done. And you saw Mikel and Ryan both ascend to a level that's, I mean, I don't think we've seen from a duo collectively. So I'm just sitting here still in shock. Like, this is being recorded late on Monday evening. So I've had a little bit of time to process this, but not much. Like, I'm still sitting here just kind of in awe, like, man, what we saw on Monday actually happened. Mikel scored 45. Ryan scored 31. And you had 1 less point between those two than NC State had all evening. And, hey, it was not only hitting their three-pointers. It was them getting to the basket, being assertive, getting downhill, getting to the free throw line, and opening up some shots for their teammates too. Overall, this offensive performance, they accounted for 76 of 118 points. I don't want to be a victim of recency bias, but can I just say that this might be the best offensive performance, context considered, offensive performance that I've seen from this program in my life as a Cardinal fan. We'll break it down a little bit more, and it becomes even more impressive when I bring up another stat. And we'll discuss it more when we come back. Don't go anywhere. You're tuned into Locked On Louisville, covering your team every day. This is Mazda's moving the game forward for those who show there's more to the score than what's on the screen. The spotlight on this episode is on Mikel Brown Jr. and Ryan Conwell. Look, what we see in the box score is generational. But when you watch the game, you saw that they were affecting the flow of this game in multiple ways. They were defending well on the perimeter, something that I don't think they did great against Wake Forest. They were also facilitating the basketball and setting the offense up in great ways. And it was all about dialing in on every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, that I never quit mentality. Well, Mazda puts that same passion into every model that they create. Highlights make the reel. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. And while I have you, I want to tell you about our friends over at Wayfair. The new year is here, and it's the perfect time to reset your routine and refresh your space. If you're spending more time at home, you might as well love how it looks and feels. That's why you should turn to Wayfair. It's a one-stop shop for getting your home back on track. Wayfair has everything you need for a full home refresh, all in one place. Whether you're updating your living room, organizing your space, or upgrading your work from home setup, Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find exactly what works for your style and budget. With me working from home more when I'm not traveling on the road, I felt like my work from home office just needed a refresh. And I went to Wayfair, and I found out the shopping was super easy. The delivery was smooth. Everything arrived exactly as expected. It made getting back into a routine this year feel a lot more manageable. So get organized, refresh, and back on track this new year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Thank you so much for making Locked On Louisville your first listen of the day, and for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network in the world. These episodes make it super fun to be the host of this show. And if you are a part of the Everydayer Club, meaning that you are here with the high highs and the low lows, then you know how we operate. But if you don't know, you also get 2 added benefits to joining the Everydayer Club. You'll get an ad-free audio feed for the show, compatible with whatever service you utilize, Google, Apple, Spotify, you name it. You also get an invite into the Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, where you'll get to chat with other diehard Cardinal fans like yourself. Just go to lockedonlouisville.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. I'm not done breaking down this historic offensive performance. Louisville scored 118 points against NC State. As I mentioned, I was right with the prediction of a Louisville victory. I was very, very wrong on the margin of victory. Louisville covered the 7.5 spread with ease. 41 points. Looking at the raw numbers, Louisville shot 6 point line and 81% from the free throw line. They had 8 offensive rebounds. Now, they did out-rebound NC State by 14, and that's been a nice trend to see, is that Louisville is winning the battle on the boards more often than not, it feels like. But offensively, the three-pointers were falling. You had 2 players account for over half of the team's points, 76 of the 118 to be exact. But looking at this, I think it's honestly the best offensive performance that I've seen in my life, considering who you played. Don't let I'm not even going to get into this yet, but I'll say this. Don't let hindsight affect what we know about this NC State team. This is not a bad team that Louisville played. Now, Louisville has scored over 100 points many times since I've been a fan, beginning in 2004 when I started to understand sports. But this performance, maybe I'm being a victim of recency bias, a prisoner of the moment, but I feel like I can say this and it means something. Like, this was the best offensive performance that I think I've seen from a Louisville team in my life, considering who you played. NC State's a good team. And it was honestly the most you saw against SMU. The second half showed you glimpses of what this team could do when they are playing at their most effective. NC State was 40 minutes of really good offense. It was a complete performance, and it was a good defensive performance too. Like, yeah, the Cardinals gave up 41 points in the second half, but this NC State team was one of the best offensive teams in the conference. And you kind of let your foot off the gas defensively when you're leading by 30 points for a good portion of that second half. Like, you went into halftime with a 20-point lead. Of course, the intensity is going to fall a little on the defensive end. But something that I will say, and those two players were the only that scored in double digits. Frew had 6, McNeely 8, Hadley 9, and then a couple of other players off the bench had at least 4 points, Woolley, Rogers, and Roots. But this makes me more encouraged about what's to come for the Cardinals. And we're going to have a whole segment coming up here in just a moment about what this win means for the resume, for the momentum, etc. But offensively speaking, I'm starting to like the way things are trending. Against SMU in the second half, they laid the blueprint out there. And we already knew the blueprint. We just wanted to see it, right? Get downhill. Drive to the basket. Get those paint touches, because when you do, it opens up everything else. Notre Dame is kind of up and down. You saw that against Wake Forest. The issue wasn't the offense against the Demon Deacons. It was the defense. NC State, you saw that on offense. You saw everything you wanted to see on offense all game long. Now, one thing that somebody's going to say in the comments, and I'm expecting it, and there's some merit to it, right? How many times is Louisville going to make 18 threes on 60% shooting from the three-point line? How many times are they going to shoot 60% from the field? How many times is Mikel going to score 45 while Ryan also scores 31? How many times is Louisville going to score 118 against an ACC squad? All very, very good questions. Let me say this as a rebuttal. It's not as much about what they did, but how they did it. And if you watch the game, then you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, if you just saw the box score, I'm not calling you out, but it's hard to get the full picture. Because how Louisville got these shots from the three-point line, I think like very few shots, I said, man, this kind of wasn't a great look at the time. Mikel Brown Jr. and Ryan Conwell were shooting three-pointers in the rhythm of the offense. When did they start shooting most of their three-pointers? After they opened everything up, because from the very beginning, they were being assertive. They were taking the ball to the rack. They were getting downhill. And what did that do? Well, in turn, the NC State defense had to respect Louisville's efforts and condense down into the paint, which then opened up open shooters on the outside. The inside-out offense, we've been calling for this to be how Louisville would play on offense for a couple months now. And you saw it all game long. Maybe Mikel doesn't score 45 for the rest of the year. Maybe Ryan doesn't score over 30 for the rest of the year. But you can see what I'm saying here. Like, you can piece things together. When Louisville's offense isn't one-dimensional, you've got the talent. You've got the talent. And even if you're missing some shots, if you're taking it downhill and you got Mikel and Ryan getting to the basket and finishing around the rim or getting to the free throw line, or you're kicking it out to Isaac McNeely for an open shot, or you're getting the ball to Javon Hadley or Kenai Roots cutting to the basket, or you find Sananda Frew for an alley-oop or hitting him in the dunker spot and having him do a drop step to the basket, you open up so much when you take away the predictability of what you're doing. Because what teams have been doing over the beginning of ACC play and the end of non-conference play, they were just selling out for the three-point shot. You weren't making a lot of threes because you weren't getting a lot of looks, and teams knew you weren't going to take it to the basket. Because when you took it to the lane, you immediately just sent it back out. Now, teams are learning that you can't play Louisville like that anymore. You've got to commit to defending the interior and trying to protect the rim. Now, you then work operating at the risk of giving up open shots, but that's why in the offseason we're looking at Louisville like a potential national championship contender because of that, because of the mismatches that they bring. So even if you don't get what you got from Mikel and Ryan on Monday, which odds are you probably won't, you're still going to get a better version of what you've got from them early on in January. And Louisville, with a backcourt that's playing very effective and efficient, along with their improvements in the front court, it's a dang good team. Cardinals are picking up some steam, it seems. Momentum is real. What does this win mean, though, for your resume, for your momentum, for the rest of February, which seems like it's going to be a gauntlet? We're going to answer those questions when we come back. You're tuned into Locked On Louisville, covering your team every day. It's that time of year, Card Nation. It's tax season, but it doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With the TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or the guesswork. For me, I stress all the time about taxes because not only do I have my W-2s, but I've got my 1099s for self-employment. And it's something that just stresses me out because I think I'm going to do it incorrectly. Well, when I went to TurboTax last year to file my taxes, I was able to discuss the game plan with someone online, and they handled everything. They got all the forms. They got me every deduction. All I did was upload my documents. And then I just kind of went about my day. I got updates right in the app, and it saved a lot of time and gave me real peace of mind. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150, all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. As great of a victory this is, you still have basically a full month left in the regular season. So you celebrate it for the time being accordingly, but now you got to move on. As great as it is, it's not the end of the season. It's not the national championship. It's one of those where, look, I also understand that we're not that far removed from the end of the Chris Mack era, the full Kenny Payne era that brought a lot of, I was going to say pain, but brought a lot of suffering and unhappiness to the fan base. So getting a morale boosting win like this one, yeah, I mean, hey, celebrate it. I'm not trying to tell you how to be a fan, right? Be happy. I'm happy as well. I just understand that now you have to turn your attention to Baylor, right? Like, you still have 5 of your remaining games left on the schedule for the regular season are quad 1 opportunities. So what does this mean for your resume, for your momentum, all that good stuff? I will say one more thing. I forgot to mention the stat that I was talking about with the offense. Louisville scored 1.47 points per possession against NC State, which is a single-digit projected seed according to Matt Norlander. I thought that was pretty wild. Let's say this. This is a good win. This is a solid win for your resume. This currently is a Q1. Now, NC State's right around that 30 mark, which if they go higher than 30, that means that it's going to go to a Q2. Now, they do have a tough schedule coming up, but I still think that this is a good victory because NC State is a good team. They were 8-2 in their last 10 games. They beat Clemson. They've been playing really well. The offense has been playing effectively. They're scoring a lot of points. Are they on Duke's level? No. Are they on Virginia's level? No. Carolina? Probably not. But this is a good victory. It's like SMU. Because when Pat Kelsey, or when Louisville lost to Duke on the road, the criticism got loud. Very loud. And like the only way to turn the volume down or to shut everyone up is to prove them wrong. And the only thing that you can do is win the games on your schedule. Since losing to Duke, you've gone on a 4-game winning streak. 2 of those wins were against sub-500 teams in conference, not really playing well. But the other 2 were against SMU and NC State. And I think that both of those teams are definitely, without a doubt, solid Tier 2 ACC squads. They're tournament teams. Top 40 teams in the net. Those are good wins. Those are resume-boosting wins. Is it a signature victory? I don't know that I can go that far, but it's a really good victory. A lot of people were talking about how Will Wade was going to coach circles around Pat Kelsey. That didn't happen. A lot of people were talking about how NC State they shot the ball from 3 really well. They were going to be more physical. They're going to use the size to their advantage. Now, albeit, admittedly, excuse me, I mentioned those things as aspects of this matchup that I was worried about, but I didn't say that that's why Louisville was going to lose. But some people were just like, man, NC State plus 7.5 is free money. It wasn't. This is a good win. Do not let people talk you out of that. Don't let people try to convince you that just because you beat that team by 41 means that they're not a good team. NC State is a quality opponent. They are. You handled a quality opponent, which I'm hoping will serve as the foundation or the building block for what's to come the rest of the regular season. And that's where we turn our attention now. Because as good of a victory as it is, it's a good start. You have 5 of the 7 remaining regular season games quad 1 opportunities. Like, you are going to go play in Fort Worth against Baylor. Really good head coach, national championship winning head coach, and a physical team. Maybe they're not having a great season, but it's still a quad 1 opportunity. Then you got to go to SMU. And then at the end of this month, you go to Chapel Hill, you go to Clemson, and then you're going to Miami in the regular season finale. Like, this is not going to be easy. But the more games that you win and the more momentum that you build up, because the win over Notre Dame, the win over Wake Forest, like, yeah, they're cool, but I think a win over NC State in that fashion, you get the vibes back up, momentum is real, you feel good about how you played, you had a lot of fun, and you showed yourself, you showed everyone, but you definitely showed yourself, like, hey, look, this is the team that we are. Let's stop trying to be a team that we're not. I'm not anti-shooting three-pointers, but I'm very much pro shooting three-pointers in the rhythm of the offense and getting open looks. And what this team has sort of shifted in their mindset a little bit, what they've tweaked a little bit in terms of their game plan to be less predictable and to take the ball to the basket, it's helping this momentum. Louisville played really good defensively on Monday. They need to use that performance as the foundation that propels them to the next level. Because this team, we haven't seen the ceiling for this team. Like, we've seen them show glimpses of pure brilliance, but they haven't been able to sustain that. Hoping that this can be, and they're on a 4-game winning streak, so it's not like this is like the first aspect of it, but this is like the statement win. Monday night, not many games, big games happening at the moment. Like, yeah, you have Kansas, Arizona later in the evening. St. John's is in a battle with Xavier, but you're on that like prime time slot, 7 p.m. on a Monday night, everybody watching you. And you just completely shined all across the board. So I'm hoping that as good of a victory as this was, it can serve as the foundation, serve as a building block for what's to come heading into this weekend and into the rest of the month of February and regular season. That's going to wrap up this Tuesday edition of the show. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Go Cards.